Ruben Amorim. So obviously, celebrations yesterday. That mad game. United 6-5. No, sorry, 6-5. Yes, 6-5 in aggregate, I believe. And obviously, you can tell everyone in the fan base, would have been mad excited. But I do believe it is important, for the celebrations to be, you know, tampered in a sense. Well, not tampered, but I would say the celebrations do need to be kept on hold. I think personally, because I think there was many factors as to why United won that game. I do believe, that if Corentin Tolisso didn't get sent off, I do believe the game would have been a lot more tighter, and I probably think Lyon might have held on. I'll probably say so. I think the fact that Tolisso got sent off, and again it was a harsh sending off, I think that definitely played into United's favour, because I believe if he doesn't get sent off, I do believe Lyon have more control of the game. Because you can even see when Lyon were down to 10 men, they dominated possession. So having an extra man on the pitch as well, and I think in someone like Corentin Tolisso as well, he is their physical presence in that midfield. So he was a massive miss. Obviously, he's their captain as well before Lacazette came on. So he was a massive miss to their team. And I think, as I said, had he have been on the pitch, I think the game could have gone in probably more in Lyon's favour. As I said, for United to let a two goal lead slip, and then, as I said, the likes of being 4-2 down, I mean, is shocking. You know what I mean? Sorry, 7-6 on aggregate. My bad, 7-6 on aggregate. But the fact that United were 4-2 down in the second half, and then obviously staged that comeback. Obviously for United, it's good. For myself, again, it was a mad game to watch, and the excitement. But I think, question marks are still there for me in terms of Ruben Amorim's team selection, in terms of Ruben Amorim's decision making in games, because even the substitutions that he made with the likes of mainoo coming on, Christian Eriksen as well. Me personally, I think those subs were far too late, and I think what it is as well, people often say, that these players ain't good enough. Well, obviously that's not entirely true, because these players are the ones that really got them through the game. I don't particularly think it was anything that Amorim said or Amorim did. I think the players, i.e. Casemiro, just took it into their own hands, and especially Casemiro showing what a winner he is, and Casemiro in extra time, he was the sole reason why United won this game for me, because to win the penalty, to make the assist, to get the assist for Mainoo's goal, and again the cross that he put in for Harry Maguire. This is why he gets paid the 350 grand a week, purely because of moments like that, And it's funny how the last three goals, Casemiro was directly involved in all three of them, And this is why, as I said, you pay and watch, or pay for these kind of players, because moments like that are few and far between. And if Casemiro is not on that pitch, United are probably looking at today them being out of the tie completely. So I think massive credit goes to Casemiro. Big up to Rocco Wilson, big up to Abiliosis 145, and big up to Carla Garvey as well. Guys, as I said, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to my channel. I think I'm only 3 short, guys, of 950. So another milestone that I'm trying to reach. So as I said, if you haven't smashed that like button or subscribed to my channel, make sure you do, and obviously help me get to 950, guys, for the next milestone. And then after that, we're going to try and hit that 1K barrier. I want to try and see if I can hit that possibly by the end of the month, hopefully. Big up to Nazrul Islam as well. Big up Reluctant Gamer, bro, each and every time. as I said, make sure you smash that like button, guys, and you subscribe to my channel. Did anyone see the game from yesterday, Man United and Lyon? Probably one of the most entertaining games, I would say, in recent years. And but for me, as I said, I think celebrations do need to be kept to a minimum, because it's all well and good celebrating. But let's be honest, United now got a flare at Bilbao, and these celebrations can easily turn to tears. I think the semi-final first leg, I think is on the 1st of May, and then the return leg, I believe, might be the following week. So, as I said, guys, I think, for me, as the title says, Ruben Amorim saves an embarrassment, and I think he did. I think personally, the team that he picked was to be, I think he was going to pick that team, as I'm done in my my match preview team selection before. And again, the reason why I picked certain players is because of the control. I wanted to see mainoo playing as a false nine, and it's funny that Kobe actually comes onto the pitch as a false nine, really, and obviously he got his goal from drifting from the left. So I think it is safe to say now, especially with someone like mainoo, he has to be playing in those attacking positions for me, and I think it'd be interesting to see if Amorim now obviously realizes this and just plays him as further forward as possible, because I think if you drop mainoo back into midfield, I think you're gonna kill his game for one, and you're not gonna get the best out of him. So I think going forwards, I'd like to see Kobe on that left 10, with what's available, and I would like to see the likes of, because he's obviously going to play Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno now has to be playing in midfield, alongside Casemiro for me. I think that's the best combination, and I think Amorim now, has a choice to make, because again, the league season, I still believe United need to be making a good end to the season in terms of the league. But obviously, all eyes are on that Europa League semi-final now. But is he going to be? I mean, what's he going to do with his team selection? Because United have got some key games coming up. The next two league games are Wolves and West Ham, two teams that are around United in the league. And if United don't get a positive result in both games, both teams can overtake United in the league title. In the league standings. And as I said, it now makes the Europa League even more important, because again, two games against a flare at Bilbao, which is going to be interesting. And again, if United don't manage to get through this, then this league season will be, a complete failure. So yeah, big up to Zone X. Yeah, big up for coming on. So yeah, I think for me, in terms of performances, I'm not going to dwell on it too much, because, as I said yesterday, I think the first half performance, big up Alex Henderson, big up to Joseph Heimbach as well. So for me, I think the team selection, in terms of the first half performance, I thought the first half performance was very good. And again, for me, Lyon are a funny team, because I think Lyon take a lot of risks, especially in their defence and in the midfield. And sometimes you look at it and you think, are they good enough to be taking those risks, especially being away from home? But to be fair, credit to them, they keep playing. And I think in terms of, their ball possession, obviously they had more possession than United. But I think I think going forward, there's a massive problem. I think without Ryan Cherky, they haven't really got any kind of individual brilliance. I was very disappointed over the two legs in Mikatadze. I thought he would have done a lot more. Lacazette, when he came on, he did offer them a presence, as someone as a player that they can play the ball into and hold it up. Thiago Almada, I think he was okay, a bit in and out the game. But yeah, for me, it was Ryan Cherky was the difference by far. And I think personally, United do need to come and go and snap him up. If I'm honest, if he's got a 25 million release clause, you go and pay that. Big up Daniela Iacona as well for coming on. Guys, as again, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. So yeah, I think in terms of the performances, again, Lenny Yoro, another great display. And that was highlighted by the block that he made with his head from the shot from I forgot the guy. I forgot the player that come on the left hand side where Lenny Yoro just threw his head at the ball. That's invaluable for me. Things like that. And Lenny Yoro deserves plenty of credit for that, man. And Lenny Yoro for me is going from strength to strength. I think he can be very happy with his latest performances, and this was another one. Harry Maguire again getting the winner. And to be fair, Harry Maguire does do this quite often. He does pop up with like winners or does have an impact when United do need to get a goal. And he done it again, And as we all know, Harry Maguire in the air is almost unstoppable in the air. Once he gets once the right delivery gets it put into the box. And again, he can be very happy with his winner. And yeah, I think personally, he's going to be a next season, I would say, I don't think he starts, but he might be as part of the squad, definitely. And to be fair, I'm not too fussed with that. I think one of him or Lindelof have to go, and obviously Lindelof is more likely to go because of the contracts, and rightfully so. So yeah, good performance from Harry Maguire, I would say. I think in terms of the first half, they won't really trouble too much, and obviously there's a few issues with Harry Maguire's pace, Obviously there is times where he does get caught, but I think all in all, him getting the winner, you can't really be too disappointed with that. Moving on to Mazraoui. Again, Mazraoui coming off at half time. I was shocked. I didn't really see that happening. And I was thinking, why has he changed that? But then obviously it turns out that between him and Lindelof, they're I think their house got burgled, which is mad. So that's the reason for the change. But Luke Shaw coming on for Mazraoui. I mean, the one thing that I noticed with Luke Shaw, as many people probably noticed, is that Luke Shaw looks very overweight, massively overweight. And how long is it going to take for Luke Shaw to get back into the rhythm of the game? Because he did look very overweight. Defensively, Luke Shaw is very good defensively. But, I think coming up now, he's going to be under pressure to stay fit and under pressure to put in some decent performances for the wage that he's on. But for what I noticed, yeah, he looked very, very overweight from what I see. And as I said, yeah, he does need to sort that out for me. Just gonna go through some of the questions. So big up NM Coxie says, honestly, bro, I sit back and think what a horrible season my team Wolves have had, but I look around at United and Spurs and think, well, it could have been worse. Hope you're well, brother, and happy weekend. Yeah, NM Coxie, man, big up yourself, man. Obviously, we've got your team obviously next in the league. I believe is on Sunday, and you got a certain Matthias Cunha who I'd love at United, and he's going to be back as well. But yeah, I think as I said, man, this season's been horrible for United. It's the worst season that I can remember. I don't think it's been a worse season, and even last season wasn't good. But I think, will this give United confidence going forwards? I'm not too sure, because one thing what I will say as well, which people probably have missed, if you look at United's last two Europa League games, in terms of the opposition, Real Sociedad and Lyon, two teams that you would expect United to beat. But what I would say is that both teams have had players sent off, which has had a massive effect on the outcome for me. So my confidence in United going forward in this competition is still the same, because you're now playing against Athletic Bilbao, who are a very good team. They're performing very well in the league as well, and they're only behind the top three in La Liga, which you would expect. in Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico Madrid. So they've had a very good season, and for me, they are the favourites to win this competition at the moment. So again, United have played against 10 men, in the last two ties against Real Sociedad and Lyon, and I believe, if they don't play against 10 men in Athletic Bilbao, it could be a very different game. But anything can happen. But I think this is going to be the main test of the tournament so far, I would say, because Athletic Bilbao have some players in their team that will cause problems. Nico Williams, his brother Inaki Williams, Oyan Sanset as well. They got some Spanish internationals at the back there as well. And they've got a midfield that can keep the ball. So they're going to cause United problems. And the hope that United have really is that the second leg is at Old Trafford. So United are going to need to make sure that they've got something to go back to Old Trafford with. And but it's going to be a very difficult game. But on the other hand, going back onto the performances. So again, Mazraoui for me, assured, as we know. Luke Shaw coming on, I wasn't too impressed with Luke Shaw, but again, United getting through is the main thing. Diogo Dalot, I thought Dalot was very good. Personally, I thought he was a bit fortunate to get the goal that he scored, because when I look at it in slow motion, he actually looks at the defender before he does place his body in front of him. And I thought they would have given a free kick for that. But the fact that Dalot, because Dalot is stronger than Tagliafico, that goes without saying. But I think the way that he looked at him to position his body, I thought they were going to blow up for that. But then after that, what a finish, great finish. And his performance as a whole, was very good. And Dalot just needs to keep it up to the end of the season. I think one thing we'll say about Dalot as well is that Dalot, his energy levels are ridiculous. The guy's up and down, and his physicality is there as well. So yeah, he can be very happy with his performance, man. And he was a major reason as to why United really come back into the game as well. That I think one thing with Dalot, he's got a never say die attitude, and he would have been one of the players for sure that would have got the team to keep fighting, and in the end it proved, Patrick Dorgu on the other side, I thought Dorgu was good, not one of his best games, but I think the relationship with him and Garnacho just isn't there, there's so many times Patrick Dorgu makes the run and Garnacho, isn't interested in finding him really, he's very individual, especially when he plays on that left-hand side. And I think, again, this is a problem that Amorim, looked like he had identified, but went back to the same thing. If you're going to play Garnacho on that left-hand side, Garnacho becomes very individual on that side, because on that left-hand side, he wants to cut in and get a shot off. On the right-hand side, because obviously he's going down the outside, he's forced to play the ball rather than going for a shot on the outside. So for me, he has to sort that out, because if he is going to play Garnacho, for me, you have to play him on the right-hand side, or either use him as a bench option, or if you are going to play him on the right. So he's forced to pass the ball. But the combination with Patrick Dorgu on that side, is concerning. It's almost as if Garnacho is hell-bent on playing him the ball, unless it's like last resort. But I thought Dorgu was decent on the ball today, obviously when he came off, obviously has been playing a lot of football as of late for United. And but I thought he could be happy with his performance. I thought he was okay, Moving on to the midfield. Manuel Ugarte got his goal, I thought first half, to be fair, Ugarte was actually good. I think he was winning the ball back. He was driving from midfield in terms of the interceptions as well. On the ball, there is obviously massive question marks, but I thought first half he was very good. Second half he dropped off, and rightfully so came off. And again, Ruben Amorim does this every game. Whenever United need to get a goal or they're losing the game, he takes Amorim off. He takes off Ugarte and then puts Bruno back into midfield. And yeah, I think against better teams, Amorim won't have that luxury, because I think better teams will kill the game off earlier on. And if he is going to take off Ugarte, it's going to be a question of, well, why didn't you do that in the first place, not play him? So, yeah, I think going forward, Ugarte is going to be a problem because, for me, going on to the guy next, Casemiro, my man of the match, he has to start. Every important game, he has to start. And, Amorim has to play Bruno next to him because Bruno doesn't work in the 10s. And but that means obviously Ugarte is going to be left out. But if Amorim's going to play Ugarte and Casemiro again and then play Bruno from the left 10, he's going to come across the same problem. So he has to make a decision. But for me, Casemiro is in the driving seat, and rightfully so, and has to play every game, major game this season for me, And his performance in that extra time was nothing short of world class, I done my stream yesterday, and as you can see on my thumbnail, world class performance, Casemiro just controlled that game in extra time. And it's almost as if Casemiro just thought to himself, you know what, it's my time to step up again. And as I said, all three goals that United got back from the penalty spot, Kobbie Mainoo's goal and Maguire's header, Casemiro was involved in all three, and this is why you pay the big bucks for someone like that to perform in those kind of moments, But what a great performance from Casemiro. And again, he's been performing very well. So, yeah, deserves his plaudits. Moving forwards, Bruno Fernandes got the penalty. To be fair, there was good bits of play from Bruno in the first half, His composure, to be fair, was a lot better, not too many Hollywood passes. But I think, again, he has to be playing in this team as a central midfielder, not as a 10. I think going forwards, if United do go into the summer market and they go and get another midfielder, it's going to be interesting to see because Amorim is going to play Bruno, and it's one of them things where you can't shoehorn Bruno into the team. It's either you're going to play him in central midfield or you're not going to play him, because playing him as a 10 is redundant. So if you are going to play him in central midfield. But then if they get another midfielder, because I think Casemiro is going to go, Ugarte is still there. They need to get another, for me, they need another two midfielders, unless you're going to bring through Sekou Kone, Toby Collier is there as well. But I think Bruno in this team has to be playing in midfield. I don't want to see him playing as a left 10 or as a right 10 no more. Obviously the penalty, as we know, Bruno is very clinical from the penalty spot. And again, I thought he had a decent performance, but I'll keep reiterating, there is going to be tougher games ahead, and Bruno has to find a way of getting this team over the line, especially in Europa League. So, you know what I mean? I think, as I said, celebrations, all fair, all well and good, but the bigger picture, there's a semi-final against Athletic Bilbao, and there's league games coming up that are going to be crucial. So we'll have to see what Bruno does there. Garnacho, I think the only positive thing I would say Garnacho done was the run, the touch, and the cutback for Ugarte's goal. But he's too selfish for me, and has been for a while. As I said, when you play him on the left-hand side, he wants to cut in and shoot, and he hasn't got any variety in his game either. If he goes down the outside, he's just going to try and just hit it with his left foot and hope for a corner. A willing runner, but to be fair, I think a player like this in your team is gonna frustrate you because, he physically he hasn't got it. He has got a bit of a burst of acceleration, but he's not a powerful runner. And his quality on the ball just ain't there. The chance where he ran on and he cut back, you have to score from that. You have to score from there, and that could have come back to haunt United, and luckily it didn't. But that was poor play, because you done the hard work, and then the easy bit, you managed to mess up. And there was times where he could have squared Højlund, which he didn't. And you can tell that him and Højlund on the pitch don't have a good relationship, because, they're always looking at one another to blame. For me, both of them ain't good enough and should be moved on next season. But as I said, it's a massive issue because both well, I'll say Højlund is less selfish, but Garnacho just wants to be that guy, and unfortunately for himself, he just isn't that guy. And again, another underwhelming performance. As I said, winning runner, but quality is what matters, and he hasn't got that, and rightfully so came off. Rasmus Højlund, surprisingly, because I said I didn't want Højlund starting the game. But personally, I thought Højlund done okay in the first half. I think he was less on his arse, holding the ball up. I think that he done well at. But again, the bar is very low. You know, all Højlund's got to do really is just stay on his feet. Let's be honest. And he done that a lot more often than he has been. First off, I thought he was okay. He was linking the play a bit. But as I said, the bar is very low because this is just basic from a footballer. And I think that, yeah, he can be happy with his first half performance. But I think the concerning thing for Højlund is that when things are going wrong for United, he's one of the first ones to come off. And for me, that just shows that the manager has no faith in him, And again, even though it was a much better performance, I think going forwards, he can't be leading the line or at United any longer for me. And in the summer, this is one of the first things that need to be looked at, in terms of departures. And hopefully United are looking at these kind of things. Him and Garnacho, for me, are two players that for me have to be moved on. But I did think Højlund was a lot better. But still, as I said, the bar is on the floor. But he can be happy with his first half performance. Second half, didn't really do anything and rightfully came off. And then we move on to the subs. Christian Eriksen came on. I think Eriksen came on, to add a bit more control to the game. And obviously, Lyon being down to 10 men, he is going to help with that. Again, there's not really much to report on Christian Eriksen because he's going to be gone at the end of the season. But yeah, it's just frustrating that a player with his attributes is not used further forward, to create. But I think he did come on and help play his part in, United getting a bit more control of the game. But again, he's going to be gone in the season, so there's not really much to dwell on. Kobbie Mainoo, as I said, the finish was just world class, man. And again, Kobbie's got that in his locker. And I think with Kobbie, there's going to be shouts for Kobbie to get a new contract off of that, the 150 that he wants, apparently. Kobbie's not going anywhere anyway. A player with his quality, needs to be at the club. I think the biggest problem with Kobbie Mainoo is him finding his place in this team, because if United do go and recruit some players in the left 10 position, I think that's Kobbie's best position. And if United continue playing this formation, where does Kobbie figure? Because I think if you're going to have someone on the right as a right 10, I would prefer having a left footer on the right as an inverted, and then a right footer on the left. And if you go and buy, let's say, a Cunha or an Eze in that position, where does he actually figure? This is the problem that Kobbie's got to figure out. I could see if Amorim was to be moved on and the system gets changed, I could see Kobbie figuring, more if United play like a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. But I think going forwards, he can only play as a left 10 for me. Even the false 9, I don't want to see him play too tough, if I'm honest. Only on an emergency, because United haven't really got anyone at the moment. But I think the turn and the finish is what Kobbie does. And as I said, someone like this, you have to make it work, and hopefully this will springboard Kobbie Mainoo's confidence and hopefully get him to realise his potential. Let's be honest. Mason Mount, again, didn't really do too much. I think Mason Mount really come on, as someone that can just get around the opposition, try and win the ball back, and try and keep it when he gets it as well. And I think he done that. I think he done his job when he came on. Another player really with the money that he's on. Where do you see him playing? Because I can't see where he fits in. And if he's on that kind of money, wearing that number on his back, you know, he has to be starting really. So again, there's massive question marks for Ineos in the summer as to some of these players, because I wouldn't be too concerned if Mason Mount was on 150 and was wearing number, I don't know, 27 or 19 or something like that, or even 19. But if he was wearing that number 27, but the fact that he's wearing number 7 and's on 250, you know, this is something which is a massive problem and needs to be sorted out. But I think he done okay when he came on, you know. But yeah, you'd expect a lot more from someone that's on that kind of wage and wearing that number. So this is the problem. But yeah, that's what I would say, guys. So all in all, you know, I think first half performance was decent. Second half was concerning to be 2-0 up and then being eventually 4-2 down, you know, and then coming back at the end to win it 5-4, which is just crazy game. And as I said, Lyon being down to 10 men had a massive effect on it, you know, and yeah, as I said, it was a turning point for me in the end. But big up United for going through. Big up to them to keep fighting. But again, semi-final now, and Athletic Bilbao will be a test, so we'll have to see how they get on. But guys, I'm going to go through some of your questions, but big up yourselves. So T-Man Tool says, there is no way you should be crash praising defenders when 4 goals was conceded. Yeah, what I would say, obviously football's a team game, first and foremost. When you concede 4 goals, again, isn't a good sign, which is why I said earlier that, you know, there is massive question marks on this team for conceding 4 goals. And they're going to be going against the Athletic Bilbao team, who I could say comfortably are not going to concede 4 goals, you know. So United are going to need to, you know, play the right combination and make sure that they are more solid in defence and in midfield to overcome Athletic Bilbao, who are very good in transition and who are very good in defence as well. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough game, man. But I agree. Conceding 4 goals at home as well, when you were 2-0 up, is a massive problem. Big up Charlotte Campbell. Big up to... Is it Dick Shet? Pinashawami says, why are you excited for Mickey Mouse Trophy? Listen, I'm not excited. But I'd like to know what team you support. You know what I mean? Because if you tell me Arsenal, then you got clown faces on there. The clown is you, because if it is Arsenal, then you need to go back and check your history. You know. But yeah, I'm not excited. End of the day, this is a Mickey Mouse Trophy in a sense, I would say. But there's bigger things ahead for United. And I think that, you know, if United can win this trophy, if you are an Arsenal fan, it's still going to be a better season, put it that way. Because for me, Arsenal are not going to win Champions League. And the league title is more or less wrapped up now anyway. Liverpool just need two more wins. So, yeah. But what I would say, big up yourself for coming on anyway. Big up Sam. Sam says, we still got a chance to win Europa. Yeah, listen, Sam. Yeah, it's mad. I can't actually believe that United actually done that. Watching that game, I thought 4-2 down. There's no way they're coming back. But Casemiro has to be given his credit, because if he's not on that pitch with his winning mentality, you know, he's been in this position plenty of times with Real Madrid, you know, and it was funny that he was the guy to get United over the line with a hand in all 3 goals. So big up to Casemiro. But yeah, we still got a chance. But as I said before, time's going to tell against Athletic Bilbao, because it's not going to be easy. But big up yourself. Big up to Gamer. That Casemiro cross from Maguire was unbelievable. It was inch perfect, you know. Again, I think it's important, guys, as well, to go through the some of the decisions as well, because I did say, if you look at the Champions League games and the Europa League games for both Arsenal and Man United, you know, both teams literally had all decisions go their way. Because if you look at the penalty that Arsenal got when Marino got fouled, if you actually check it, Mikel Merino made contact with Raul Asensio first, and Asensio obviously then grabbed him after, but the initial attempt was made by Merino. So I'm surprised that the VAR didn't actually see that and gave the penalty. And then if you look at Kylian Mbappe's one, when Declan Rice did hold him, even though Mbappe did go down easy, I think if you look at it, if you're going to give a penalty against Asensio for the tug on Merino, I thought they would have to have given that again for Mbappe for the foul that Rice committed. But the fact that they gave the one for Merino and didn't give the one for Mbappe, I was shocked, especially being at the Bernabeu, And personally, I would have thought both decisions would have been right. It's either you don't give a penalty for both, or you give a penalty for both. And the fact that Saka missed it anyway made no difference really to that penalty being given. But the Mbappe one I thought wasn't be given. And if you look at United one, the Casemiro one, I probably think that was the right decision, because obviously if you look at it in slow motion, his heel does get kicked. I know there was talk about the handball, but I think the Tolisso sending off wasn't a sending off. If you look at it, Toliso's trying to get into his stride to run and accidentally clips, I can't remember who was running. Was it Lenny Yoro or Dallo, I think was running. And then if you look at the foul by Dallo that they were looking at VAR, Dallo actually looks at Tagliafico and then places his body. I've seen penny decisions being given the other way for that. And if you look at the Harry Maguire one, a slight little nudge, again, in Europe, you've seen decisions being given for that. So I think they were fortunate to get away with all decisions, even though people might think they're a bit soft, but, all of it went in United's favour. So I think we can say that they were fortunate in that respect. But as I said, yeah, the cross from Casemiro was class, man. So BC says Ancelotti goes or stays. Who to take over? For me, Carlo Ancelotti, man, one of the legendary managers by far. And I think, for me, I do think Ancelotti goes. And again, this is why I rate Real Madrid, because Real Madrid are running away where failure is not acceptable at that club. Them getting beat by Arsenal 5-1 on aggregate is going to hurt them, and they're going to have to do something about it. And as great as a manager as Carlo Ancelotti is, this is why Real Madrid stay on top, because they just make decisions that are ruthless, which everyone might not think is great at the time, but they do these things. And again, full credit goes to Ancelotti, because what a manager he is. But unfortunately, he hasn't guided Real Madrid to the Champions League and the league title. It looks like that they're going to be beaten, although they've got the Copa del Rey to come up. But this is what Real Madrid do, and fair enough to them, because this is a winning team, a winning club, should I say. And I think on the pitch, they're going to make some changes there as well. As I mentioned, they need to seriously think about getting a striker in and getting a number 10 in if they aren't going to use Arda Güler there. So there's big things ahead for Real Madrid, but I believe they're going to go out in the summer and make some serious changes. And I think the manager, Ancelotti, unfortunately, I think might be the casualty. Who do I see them getting? Again, there's been links with Jurgen Klopp. You got Xabi Alonso there as well, but I think Xabi Alonso should stay at Bayer Leverkusen. I don't really know. Zidane, could he come back? I don't think so. But I think that for sure, I think Ancelotti does go, and who they get in, it could be a Klopp, it could be someone that we're not even thinking of, but I do think Ancelotti does go. But big up BC. TA Arcade 13 says, Mainoo is still young though, still not a starter. Listen, for me, age is no barrier. If you're good, you're good. Look at Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal's 17, and he's arguably the best player in the world right now, and he's only 17, and he's only going to get better. It's down to Kobbie Mainoo to prove that he is good enough. And I do think Kobbie Mainoo, I do think he is good enough. Do I think Kobbie Mainoo is an automatic starter? I think with what's available at the moment, he should be starting as a left 10 for me. When everyone's fit, And if they go into the market to buy some players in that position, in this formation, I don't see Kobe as a starter, personally. I think in a different formation, I could see him as a starter. But he's got it all to prove. I think the potential's there, but he's got to find a place in this team and make it his own, which is going to be difficult because I believe if United do get a Eze or a Cunha as a left 10 in this system, he's going to find it hard to get a start. And that's where he plays best in this system as that. But we'll have to wait and see. But Kobe Mainoo, for me, definitely stays at United. And he definitely has a lot of potential. And, it's up to him now to force his way as a starter. Do I believe he's worth 150? No way. I think if he's getting paid more than Ahmad, it's a problem for me. I think Kobe at his age now and at his status at the club, I think 90 grand, 100 grand is more than enough for him for his emergence. But if he starts asking for 150, not for me. I'd go as far as saying, he should be moved. He should be sold if he did want that. But I don't think he does. And I think he wants to stay at the club. So I think players like this, you have to give them incentivized bonuses and let them know as well that, that you're not going to be given everything your own way, but we believe in you and it's up to them to try and force their way into the team. And that's what it's about. But big up talk anyway. So Kara Souza says, how did he escape that? Escape what? What was that? The I'm not sure what you mean. How did he escape that? So Kara Souza says, how did he escape embarrassment? Well, Kara Souza, I'm not sure if you watched the game yesterday. Man United played Lyon. So how he escaped embarrassment is that they were 2-0 up in the first half. And if United would have lost this tie, then he would have escaped embarrassment because you don't go 2-0 up at home and then end up getting beat 4-2 when the other team is down to 10 men. I'm not sure what game you've watched before, but that's what you call embarrassment because had he have not navigated his way somehow to beat Lyon, for me, it would have been game over. And personally, it would have been an embarrassment from United to be up against 10 men and lose the game 4-2. So he's got away with one today. But what I would say, as I've mentioned, there is tougher tests coming up. They've got league games coming up. Wolves, West Ham, again, two teams that are around them in the league. You got Chelsea away, Arsenal, I think that's at home. Aston Villa. So United got some very tough games, and they got the Europa League. And this now for me is when it's going to get crucial because Amorim now has to win Europa League and have a respectable finish in the league. Because if United finish lower than where they are now and they don't win Europa League, for me, how can he keep his job? How can he keep his job? He can't for me. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Big up Leo HR. Fix says Chelsea are better. Yeah, Chelsea are not a million miles better in terms of how they've been performing, I would say. I think in terms of Chelsea's squad, their squad is stacked, but they're still missing some key players in key areas. Goalkeeper, a commanding centre-back, and a striker, I would say. But I think Chelsea will win the Conference League. I think if Chelsea don't win the Conference League, Enzo Maresca should be sacked on the spot if he doesn't win. Because they've beat Legia Warsaw. I'm now seeing they've got Jagardens, I think, who are an Irish team or Swedish team. And I think they might be a Swedish team. And again, some of these teams they're playing, they should be beating them with their second team. And if somehow Maresca doesn't win them this Conference League, they need to sack him in the dressing room for sure. Because with the kind of money that they've spent, the quality they have in their squad, they should be winning this easily. And if he doesn't, then as I said, he needs to be seriously looked at for the sack. But I agree. Chelsea are frustrating to watch. I think with Chelsea, why he's decided to play Cole Palmer in the 10 when the number 10 position is a crowded area and Cole Palmer does his best work in the half spaces where he can pick the ball up from the right and drift into the 10 rather than starting there. You know, someone like Jadon Sancho will be better suited to playing the 10 than what Cole Palmer is, because Jadon Sancho is better in the tight spaces. You know, again, the combination in midfield, you know, the fact that Romeo Lavia keeps getting injured is mad frustrating, because Romeo Lavia is arguably one of their best players, I would say, but he can't keep fit. And if he was fit, him and a Caicedo in midfield would be very good. Obviously, Enzo is stuck in between a rock and a hard place for me, because the way Chelsea's set up, you either playing as a deep line playmaker in that team or as a 10, whereas Enzo is a proper central midfielder, and he can't play deep line dictating, and he can't play as a 10 really in the system for Chelsea. So there's problems there. I know Andre Santos is coming back from loan, and that's going to be a massive plus for them. You know, he's someone that will be looking to even start for the season that he's had for Strasbourg. Defense, I don't know why he keeps playing Levi Colwill. You know, Colwill really is only playing because they're trying to push this whole Chelsea youth, you know, John Terry, wore his number, you know. They're trying to push Colwill hard, but Colwill is not better than Badashile. You know, Wesley Fofana's their best defender, but again, he's injury prone. Reece James, for me, is arguably their best player, but again, he's got to stay fit. And Mark Cucurella's been very good, to be fair. Their goalkeeper is a massive issue. You know, Robert Sanchez doesn't fill anyone with any confidence. So yeah, well, again, on the wings, you've got Pedro Neto, who's been poor. Madueke has been better than Neto, but again, Madueke isn't the answer. Jadon Sancho, for me, has been very good. You know, I think it's important to understand what type of player Jadon Sancho is. Because if you think he's like a Madueke kind of player, then you're going to be frustrated every time, because he isn't that. He's more or less a number 10 playing out wide. You know, someone that wants to keep the ball. And I'm just hoping that Chelsea don't, and I hope Chelsea not watching this, but I was hoping that Chelsea don't trigger that 25 million and pay 5 million to United so United can get him back. Because I still think Sancho has a lot to offer this Man United team, providing he wants to come back. And obviously the relationship with the club, you know what I mean? But I'd have Sancho back immediately from what I'm seeing at this Man United in this current squad. But yeah, as I said, I think, yeah, Chelsea are better equipped at the moment to sustain over United. But for me personally, they need to make some changes in that summer for sure. But yeah, big up for your questions. But yeah, guys, before we wrap, I mean, obviously Matthias de Ligt, Amad Diallo, rumored to be back for the first leg, and what a massive plus that is. You know, 2 starters there. Whether Amad starts the game or not, I don't think he does. I think Matthias de Ligt should start, but then for me, Lenny Yoro has to start, so that's one place there. Mazraoui has to start, so is he going to take out Maguire and put de Ligt back into the middle? And de Ligt is Man United's best defender right now. You know, he offers a bit of a calming presence to that team, and for me, has to be restored back into the lineup. But again, it's going to be a decision that Amram has to make, because I want to see Ahmad back in that right 10 for me personally. But I don't think Ahmad is going to be fit enough to start the game, but he might come on. But what a massive plus that is to the squad, having those 2 come back, you know. But again, all eyes are going to be on the semi-final now. You know, I think, you know, all Man United fans, as I said, are going to be getting carried away and being excited with the result, and rightfully so. But I think, you know, as I said, this could all turn very sour very quick, because this is the tournament that United need to win somehow. And against Athletic Bilbao, who are going to be more organised, you know, have better attacking players as well, more of a structure to their team in terms of, you know, how they build up, you know, and a better defence as well. It's going to be all on United to try and beat them over 2 legs, you know. And the only positive I would say is that the second leg's at Old Trafford. But United might be, you know, if United can take something back there, then it'll put them in a good position. But we'll have to wait and see. And again, they've got the league games coming up, which are going to be interesting, man. Starting with Wolves on Sunday, which for me is a must-win game. Because I think if United was to even draw this game, it's not good enough, you know. And Amorim now, you know, is going to get a bit of breathing space, having got the team through. But again, it's going to quickly be on him, because if they wasn't to beat Wolves or get beat by Wolves, then the pressure's going to turn back on him again. So, yeah, it's going to be never ending, man, because these games are going to come thick and fast as well. And, yeah, it's going to be a roller coaster ride to the finish, man. And we're going to be, I'm going to be here for it. So, yeah, guys. But, guys, big up yourselves for coming on. As I say, big up your questions each and every time. Obviously, WrestleMania starts tomorrow, over 2 days. Guys, if you get a chance, check out my other content. I've done some content on the WrestleMania, if you do like wrestling, on how I think the matchups are going to finish. You know, so they're in chapters as well. So if you do like wrestling, be sure to check them out and look at the predictions that I've done in who I think is going to win each matchup over the 2 days. And again, if you disagree, then again, put your comments once the stream has ended. And again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do. I'm a few short of another milestone, 950, on the road to 1K. And again, make sure you smash the like button if you enjoy the content. And again, check my content out. Check out my shorts as well. Big up every time, Reluctant Gamer, one of my mods. Big up every time for coming on. And big up everyone that's put their comments into the live chat. Subscribe, smash the like button, guys. And I'm going to catch you possibly tomorrow. Take it easy.